Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of The Tea with Nicque. Today I'm drinking oolong tea, which is something that I don't really drink a lot. Mostly it's green tea, mostly it's jasmine, like Uncle Iroh. But today it's oolong, so yeah. So today I'm going to be talking about my weight loss journey. Some of you might know, some of you might not. But I do have a weight loss journey. I gained a lot of weight from depression and medication from that depression, and I was having a lot of trouble keeping it off. And I know that a lot of people struggle with that, and so I wanted to talk about it. I want to preface this by saying that I am not a nutritionist. I am not a coach. I don't have any degree or certification in any of this. I am just sharing what worked for me, what made sense for me, what I was able to achieve on my own. So it may not work for you, but I want to just get the information out there just in case it might be helpful to you. So, like I said, I gained about 40 pounds from depression, from medication. I definitely, my eating habits changed because I got PTSD and depression when I was in the Air Force. And I spent a lot of time in depressive episodes, and I would pretty much do nothing but eat and watch TV and sometimes work out. And then the medication made it even worse. I was on Zoloft. If you haven't heard the horror stories about Zoloft, they are possibly very real because Zoloft definitely made me gain weight, which is something that I wish people had warned me about before. And so if you haven't heard that, I just want to let you know, if you're on Zoloft, that is a possibility. So the moment that you start gaining weight from Zoloft, even like 5 pounds, fucking say something to your doctor and try to get off of it, okay? And so, just for a frame of reference, I'm 5'4", and I usually am around, 120 to 130 pounds. That's usually a good weight for me. And I'm pretty small boned. I've always been really skinny, and I never really had any weight loss problems until this point in my life. And I got up to 160. Which is not a lot for some people, but for me and my frame, that was quite a lot. I was having problems with my knees. I was pre-diabetic. Things that I've never dealt with before in my life. And I've always been naturally athletic, and nothing that I would do, no amount of working out, was able to get the weight off. And so when I took that trip to the doctor's office last year and I realized that I was pre-diabetic, I decided, I really do need to make a change. And I was really dedicated to making that happen. So I looked into getting a nutritionist because I felt like I needed some expert advice because nothing I was doing was working, even though I thought that I was eating healthy and stuff, but nothing was working. And so I looked into it, and I found out that it would cost me pretty much starting at $300 a month to get a nutritionist. And I thought that was just complete bullshit because I do not think that health and wellness should be that fucking expensive. I feel like it should be accessible for everybody, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, because I think this is valuable information to get out there. I think that health and wellness should be accessible to everybody, no matter how much money you make. You should not have to pay $300 a fucking month to know how to fucking eat, right? So that was my rationale. So I was like, fuck that. I'm gonna just do my research and I'm gonna figure this out on my own. Okay, so I did a lot of research. I researched crash diets, I researched weight loss methods, I researched medication, found out that thing about Zoloft, and I also, researched a lot of things about foods that you should avoid based on what race you are. I am, I'm African American, Native American, and I have some, European heritage, but I'm mostly of African and Native American descent. And there are certain foods that are not great for us, like dairy. Dairy is apparently really terrible for African Americans, and the food pyramid is very, very biased towards European bodies. And so that is information that is not given out to the rest of us, and not being educated about that can lead to our community having all these health problems, which is something troubling that I found out in the midst of all this research. And so I wanted to figure out a way to create long-lasting change, to make sure that the weight stayed off, and to make sure that I was also in a good frame of mind. I wanted to lose it for health. I also wanted to lose it because I had just moved to New York. I was pursuing a career in acting, and as I know that body image is a big deal in that industry, and while it is important to keep a healthy sense of body image and not like develop an eating disorder or anything, I also knew that I had to be in shape to get the kind of roles that I wanted. And so I resolved to do that. And so these are the steps that I use to get to where I am right now. I was a little over 160 pounds. Right now I'm hovering about, I think, like 127, 130. Okay. So here are some of the things that I did. So the first thing was a mental change for sure. I needed to come to grips with the fact that, look, Nick, just because you have a little extra weight on you doesn't mean that you're any less of a person. It doesn't mean you're any less amazing. You have work to do. You need to be grateful to your body for keeping you alive and for getting you this far, especially through all of the crazy shit that you've been through in your life in the Air Force. Be gracious to yourself, be gracious to your body, know that you are still beautiful. That was the hardest part for me, honestly, because I had never struggled with weight before and I was not used to seeing myself like this. I hated looking at myself in the mirror, and I had to get used to telling myself every day that I am beautiful. And that would keep me from going down a spiral. Another thing, I threw out my fucking scale. I threw that shit out. Actually, my husband threw it out. Because I would weigh myself so much, and every time I saw the number and it wasn't what I wanted, I would spiral into a depression, and I would either go on a crash diet, borderline developing an eating disorder, or I would just eat whatever the fuck I wanted because I was like, nothing is going to change and nothing is going to help, so why even try? Listen, it really is true. The number on the scale is just that. It's just a number, and everybody has different body types. And you know, BMI, it can be a good gauge of if you're in shape or not, but it also can not be, because someone can have a BMI that shows that they're overweight, but they have a lot of muscle mass and they're actually really healthy. And so I decided to go, instead of on weight, I decided to go on size. I measured myself. I decided to go on size. I found the most average scale of like a size 2, 4, 6, 8 that I could, and I just kept track of my waist size mostly, because according to my research, that was the most accurate way to see like if you are truly like at risk because of your weight or not. So that's another step that I use. The next thing is I changed my fucking medication. Zoloft was terrible for me. For some people, it does nothing for your weight. For me, I'm very, very sure that it was almost 90% of the cause of my weight gain. And so I went to my doctor. I told them, I am not fucking taking this medication anymore, so you are going to put me on a different medication. Because sometimes doctors will try and make you feel like you have to do what they say. And for the most part, yes, doctors, like, they know more than you do in general about the human body, but you know your body. And particularly if you're a black woman, sometimes you have to fight a little harder to get what you need out of your healthcare professional. So I told my doctor, I am not fucking taking the Zoloft anymore. I'm flushing it down the toilet, I'm throwing it out, whatever. So you're gonna prescribe me something different, okay? And so they did. He prescribed me bupropion and naltrexone. And that combination, it's also, so the bupropion is an antidepressant. The naltrexone is a supplementary medicine that is supposed to counteract the effects of the Zoloft weight gain. According to my research, one of the things that Zoloft might do is that when Zoloft, you know, antidepressants mess with the neurotransmitters in your brain to help you produce more serotonin. Apparently, there's something in Zoloft that when it messes with those neurotransmitters, it also messes with the neurotransmitters that control how your brain perceives hunger and how your brain processes fat. Everything that your body does, including the way it processes and stores fat, is controlled by the brain, is controlled by hormones, it's controlled by neurotransmitters and shit like that. So apparently, Zoloft fucks with that. And so this new medication, the bupropion and naltrexone, is supposed to reverse that over time. One of the other things that combination of medication does, it is also used to treat alcoholism. And so not only does it suppress appetite, not only does it reverse whatever the Zoloft does to your chemical balance or whatever, it also makes you not want to drink so much. And so for me, that's a plus because I drank a lot when I was in the military, and I'm pretty sure that was definitely a cause of the pre-diabetes and the weight gain as well. So that was a plus for sure. So I changed my medication. The next thing I did, an elimination diet. I resolved to eliminate basically these things that mostly processed foods, but also things that, you know, originally weren't really bad for us, but because of how food has evolved over time, it's not necessarily the best. And it's also, I know it's definitely been touted by nutritionists and trainers as a way to figure out what your body reacts to negatively and positively. So this is what I cut out. I cut out gluten, I cut out processed sugar, I cut out red meat, I cut out alcohol, and I cut out processed food. And I resolved to stick to this for 30 days. It is a little extreme, and a lot of people are very against doing extreme diets. In my mind, my rationale was that if I want a radical change, if I want radical results, I do need to make a radical change. And so, at least for a little bit, I wanted to eliminate this stuff and see what happened with my body. The next phase is like how I resolved to eat after eliminating all of that. So basically most of what I intook was water, fruits, veggies, and fish. I went plant-based. Plant-based does not necessarily mean vegan. There are different kinds of going plant-based. There is vegan, which is like completely plant-based. There's vegetarian. There's pescatarian, which means that like you can eat pretty much anything except meat, except for fish. You can eat fish. And so that's basically what I did, pescatarian. So it was like fruits, veggies, eggs, and fish. That's all I ate. And I didn't keep track of my calories or anything. I ate as much as I fucking wanted, just as long as it was like natural and came out of the ground. That's what I ate. So like a lot of potatoes. Oh yeah, I also cut out dairy. I forgot to say that. In the elimination diet, I cut out dairy. And so, like, I ate a lot of potatoes, I ate a lot of eggs, I ate a lot of fruits. People say to stay away from fruits because it's sugar, but you know what? It's fucking natural sugar. It comes out of the ground. God created it. It's obviously meant for you. So you can fucking eat it. That was my rationale, okay? Like I said, I don't have a degree in this, but this is the rationale I use. So I'm like, if God has grown it out of the ground, I can fucking eat it. So I ate fruits, veggies, eggs, and fish. As far as dairy, sometimes I would cheat with dairy. With my potatoes, I sprinkle cheese on there, okay? Cheese and like butter, and sometimes a little sour cream, but it was just like a little bit. I didn't use it as a whole fucking food group the way that the food pyramid tells you to, which is kind of questionable to me, which I will explain later on. But yeah, so I eliminated that. And then cardio. Oh Lord. According to my research, like honestly, the best way to drop weight is upping the cardio. A lot of people hate cardio, and rightfully so, because it sucks sometimes. And a lot of people want to stick to lifting weights, and there's benefits to both, right? Cardio is great for dropping weight, and then weight's good for like, you know, also dropping weight, but mostly like building muscle. I resolved, because of the way I know my body, that my priority was not to build muscle, it was to lose weight, because I've always been naturally athletic. I've never really had to work hard to be in shape, to be able to do push-ups, to be able to do sit-ups. Like, I could still do all of this stuff, believe it or not, while I was overweight, and it was not doing anything. So the cardio was what had to really be put into my routine. So I did running, elliptical, biking, like 3 times a day, 6 times a week. Yes, it was extreme. And the thing is, I didn't even do this for a month. I don't do it now, that's for fucking sure. Some days I averaged like 10 miles a day. I got the cardio in as much as I could. I ran in the morning before work, and then during my lunch break, I would use my lunch break to go to the gym in Manhattan, to like a Planet Fitness or Blink Fitness or whatever, and I would go on the elliptical for like 20 minutes, and then I'd come back home. I would run for another 30 minutes or so. I also bought a stationary bike so that if the weather was bad, I could, put on an episode of like My Hero Academia or something and go biking for like an hour. I prioritize that to do that 3 times a day. Now here's the thing. I also knew that I had to listen to my body. And so sometimes my body would feel overtrained. And so when it felt overtrained, I would stop. I would cut down. I think I was able to do the 3 times cardio a day for about 2 or 3 weeks. And then my knees started kind of feeling weird. I started feeling overtrained. And so I was like, okay, let me cut this back. Let's cut back to maybe 2 times a day, maybe once a day. I listened to my body. And also because I started to see changes in my measurements and everything. So I'm like, okay. So I basically used all of that really, really like radical and extreme change to reset my body. I just wanted to shock it back into, doing what it needed to do. And then after about a month or so, I kind of started being like, okay, I can reintroduce things like a glass of wine. I can reintroduce things like steak and stuff, like dairy. And honestly, I found that after a month of doing that, my body didn't even want that shit anymore. I used to be able to like down an entire pizza all by myself. I ordered a pizza a month or 2 later after doing all of this, and I could barely get 2 pieces of pizza down. And it's still kind of like that for me. So it was definitely a great way to reset my body and realize like what it's sensitive to. I realized like dairy doesn't really agree with me. I feel terrible after I eat like a whole bunch of dairy. And I never really knew this because I've been eating it all my life. And so but I felt so much fucking better after I cut it out. I'm like, wow, is this what I'm supposed to feel like all the time? This is great. So do I like not eat dairy and red meat and stuff? No, I still do, but it's very, very sparingly. And usually I eat it to enjoy. It's usually for like a cookout or something. But I digress. And then after that, one of the things that I attribute to my success is I started doing Taekwondo. Martial arts of any kind is really, really great for physical fitness, first of all, because it's not only resistance training, but it's cardio all at the same time. Learning how to fight is definitely like the best workout you can ever do. When I did combatives when I was in the Air Force Academy, I got so strong. I got so fucking strong from that class. I could barely believe it. I went from not being able to do like 2 pull-ups to all of a sudden one day I could do like 10. Just from like a few weeks of training. And so martial arts I absolutely recommend, but also because it's really great for mental health, because it's not just about fighting, right? And it's not just about physical fitness. It's also about, finding your center. It's about listening to your body. It's about connecting with your body. And it's also about, being able to judge the situations around you and to get things done efficiently and being able to defend yourself. Also being able to respect and honor your opponent and to engage in healthy competition, which is something I definitely missed out on when I was but I definitely missed out on when I was growing up. So that was very, very good for me, I think. For some people, yoga does that. I like yoga, but for me, martial arts worked very much better for me. And the next thing is weight range. I did have like a target. I used to have a target weight. Like I want to be 125 pounds again. The thing about that is that your body weight fluctuates all the time, and so like you can gain like 5 pounds of water weight in a week, and that can freak you the fuck out, you know. And going back to like the scale and stuff, like I took the scale out after like a few months just to gauge my my progress, and I would find that, oh my god, I dropped like 10 pounds. This is amazing, you know. But I also resolved that instead of having a target weight, I would have a target weight range. So I was in the 160s. I decided, I was like, if I can get into the 130s, that will mean that I am at a healthy point. That is my target, because like I said, your weight changes, and so it's healthier, I think, mentally to aim for a target range of 5 to 10 pounds, mostly like 10, I think, at least for me. So I know that I have that grace in knowing that your body can change from day to day, and that so 130 for me was like the target range. I do believe that I've slipped into the 120s, so I am happy about that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really happy about that. But I still do try to keep that target range in mind. And so the very last thing, I just want to go over some habits that I have made that has kind of kept me this way. And it keeps the weight off. It also keeps me from going off the deep end and developing some sort of eating disorder. So every day I drink a whole bunch of water and tea. I start the day with tea. I start the day with water. I start the day with fruits. I start the day with hydration, because I can forget to drink enough water, and so I make that the very fucking first thing that I do every goddamn day. Drink a fuck ton of water. Another habit I have is I have a little salad before every meal. I don't really do breakfast very much. I pick at a few fruits. I'll have like a banana, some cherries, some berries, like that's just me. But before every meal, I'll make sure that I have a salad, just so I can make sure that I get my greens in. Not like as a punishment or anything, but just to make sure, like, yeah, I get my, you know, my leafy greens. And it's a really simple salad, like literally fucking spinach, tomato, half an avocado, salt, pepper, olive oil, apple cider vinegar. That's literally fucking it. Maybe some lemon juice. Ooh, love that. Instead of vinaigrette, a lemon juice or whatever. Throw that in. It was actually really filling, and it tastes really fucking good. I'll have that before my lunch or my dinner, whatever. Another thing, I eat when I'm hungry. We've been conditioned to think that we do need 3 meals a day, and sometimes we do, depending on how much activity we have. I'm in quarantine right now. I spend most of my day on the sofa. I don't fucking need that much fuel to sit on the sofa. Food is fuel. And I really started looking at it that way, and so I eat when I'm hungry. I eat when I need it. I don't need to be eating 3 or even 5 times a day. And like I said, I will start. I'll start with some water, and I'll get some fruits. I'll eat my fruits and stuff. And then from the rest of the day, I just listen to my body. Now, that being said, sometimes because I do have an anxiety disorder, and I do tend to overwork and forget to eat, I do have to be mindful of that, because sometimes, and because of the medication, I'll feel like I'm not hungry. So, when I get to that point, sometimes I need to start setting reminders to myself, like, hey, you need to eat something, like a banana, a sandwich even, anything, just to make sure that you get something into you. So it's like, it's a fine balance, honestly. Like, there's almost no rules. And then above all, like I said, listen to your body. Doing that elimination diet and going plant-based was the best thing that I've ever done for my body, because now I am very attuned to what makes my body feel awful. If I have too much dairy, if I have too much bread or gluten, pasta, stuff like that, my body feels heavy and groggy and sometimes a little sick. And so I am very mindful of how much of that shit that I eat. Sometimes red meat is a little too heavy for me. When I was training for Taekwondo, I ate a lot more red meat because I needed it, because I needed the fuel. I needed so much more food. Like back when I trained for Taekwondo, I needed like 3 meals a day because I was expending a lot of calories fighting 3 times a week and training. And then the training in between those days. And so I would have like a steak every week or so, or twice a week. And sometimes I still do, and I still make sure that I slip some red meat in there as well because I'm also anemic, so I need iron and stuff. So I just listen to what my body needs, and it feels so much better to do it. I know it sounds like such a fucking hippie thing to say. I feel like everybody fucking says that. But it really is true, and doing that elimination diet and going plant-based for me helped me find out what my body reacts to negatively and positively, and it really did drop that weight off, and staying on the medication also helped as well. So that is how I lost all that weight. That's how I lost about 40 pounds or so in the last year. It took a while for me to get there. I had to be very patient, and I had to make peace with myself that it wasn't going to happen overnight, and that it was going to happen by building habits, and that one day I was going to wake up and I was going to look in the mirror and I was going to be like, oh god damn, Nicque, you fucking did that shit. And actually that point came for me last week, and I kind of cried because I was like, God, I thought I was never going to get to this point. But here I am, and I'm so fucking happy. So that was my process. Like I said, I am not a nutritionist. I don't have a degree. I'm not a trainer. I don't have a certification. And so maybe there's flaws to what I'm seeing, but I started all of this, and I'm doing this video because I believe that health and wellness and fitness should not be something that's only accessible to people with money. I think it's complete fucking bullshit that to have to pay a nutritionist $300. Not that I'm doubting that, like, your expertise probably warrants that much, but from the consumer side, I think it's really fucked up that we live in a world in which for some reason that knowledge has that big of a price on it. And I think that people with lower socioeconomic backgrounds and abilities should be able to eat healthy, and lose weight and have a good, an okay sense of health. So because of that, I'll probably also be posting like some of my favorite recipes and stuff that are very cheap. I'm a little well off now than I was when I first started my weight loss journey, and so I had to find very frugal ways to eat healthy. People will make you, social media will make you think that to eat healthy it requires a lot of money. That is not true. And so I will be definitely posting a lot more of that content here on this channel, a lot more of those recipes and stuff that I used to keep myself healthy that also fucking taste good, and it's cheap, so yeah, that is one of the biggest reasons why I did this video. So I really do hope that this helps. And I hope that you're able to, if you're struggling with the same things that I did, maybe you're able to take some of this information back to your doctor, and maybe if you need like a medication change or something, you can do that. And maybe it gives you a better outlook on what you can possibly do to make a change, especially if you're low on money, like I was back then. Don't feel like there's no hope. You still can. You can still lead a healthy lifestyle. You can. So more to come on that. What did you think? Leave a comment down below. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about on the tea. I was really looking forward to doing this topic for sure, because I really hope that it can help a whole bunch more people. So yeah, that's it. That's it for now. This has been The Tea with Nicque. Thank you guys so much, and please be safe, please be happy. I will see you next time.